It started with something almost too dull to matter. A blurry, silent still from someone's shaky livestream. The kind fans run in the background while waiting for an idol to pass by the main exit. But this wasn't the main exit, and that was the first crack. The frame caught a far back corner of the venue courtyard, a place no one usually watches because nothing ever happens there. Except this time, someone noticed a figure standing just outside the spill of the crowd's noise. Jimin, or someone who looked enough like him to make people stop the clip and squint. The lighting was awful. Dim, uneven, washed in that strange yellow that cheap security bulbs cast. But his profile, if it was his, tilted just enough to be recognizable. Next to him, not touching, not even angled toward him, stood a girl. No hoodie, no staff badge, no mask that fans could identify as standard issue. She wasn't facing him, but she wasn't facing the exit either. They looked like two people caught between moments, speaking without really speaking. The livestream chat didn't catch it at first. Everyone was staring at the main walkway, where the members were expected to appear. But one viewer scrubbed back 3 seconds too far, paused too fast, and typed before thinking. Wait, is that Jimin W someone? The message got deleted immediately. Too impulsive, too raw, but not before 2 others saw it. Screenshots surfaced. Someone zoomed in. Someone else said the angle was wrong. Another insisted the hair, the stance, the jacket length were exact. The debate went from cautious to defensive in minutes. It could be anyone. It looks like him. Why would he be there? The girl became a silhouette, a placeholder, an inconvenience. But the real issue wasn't her. It was the corner. That empty, quiet corner. A place far from the crowd, far from staff movement, far from any reason for him to stand still. Someone replayed the clip at half speed and swore they saw the two of them lean slightly toward each other. Someone else said it was just the camera shaking. Another person pointed out that Jimin usually doesn't linger after events, especially not in unlit areas. And that's when the first mistake happened. A small fan account reposted the clip with a careless caption. So, who's the girl? Then deleted it 30 seconds later, long after others had saved it. The deletion hit harder than the clip. Too quick, too nervous, too much like someone trying to pretend they hadn't seen something they definitely saw. Within an hour, the conversation shifted from, is it him, to, why the corner? And, why that distance? And, why does it look like they're talking, even though you can't hear anything? No one agreed. Everyone speculated. And the silence in that tiny, forgotten patch of space, where fans were never supposed to look, suddenly felt louder than the crowd they'd come for. The clip should have died there, buried under better angles, clearer videos, actual content. But instead, it spread sideways, leaking into small group chats where people felt safe enough to admit they couldn't shake the image. Not because it proved anything, but because it didn't. The uncertainty made it worse. A Discord mod tried to shut down the discussion early. Blurry footage isn't evidence. But someone else posted a different angle. A 4-second Instagram story from a fan who hadn't even realized she'd captured anyone in the background. It showed the same corner, same dim pool of light. And, if you zoomed in hard enough, the same outline of a guy who could only be Jimin based on the jacket he'd been photographed in hours earlier. The girl was harder to see, almost fully in shadow, but her presence was unmistakable once people knew where to look. That was the problem. Now everyone knew where to look. Threads popped up comparing the shadows, the shape of his shoulders, the way he held his hands in his pockets. He only stands like that when he's off camera, someone wrote, as if that meant anything. Theories multiplied, then collapsed, then reformed into new ones. Some insisted it wasn't him. Wrong angle, wrong posture, too tall, too short, too still. Others argued that the stillness itself was the tell. A TikTok edit slowed the footage to almost nothing, claiming their heads were tilted toward each other for 1 second at the exact same angle, as if caught mid-sentence. Comments fought under it, some saying the timing didn't match, others saying that the timing matching was exactly what made it strange. The first real fracture happened when a mid-sized fan page accidentally posted a cropped screenshot of the corner, before immediately replacing it with a harmless crowd photo. They didn't acknowledge the switch, didn't mention the mistake, but people saw. And once they saw, they started asking why that page, known for not entertaining rumors, would have anything to crop at all. Someone dug into the metadata of the screenshot and claimed it had been saved twice. Another said the whole thing was fake. Someone else insisted the page had been told to remove it because it looked too much like him, though no one agreed on who supposedly told them that. It spiraled from mistake to implication in under 15 minutes, and through it all, the same question kept resurfacing, heavier each time. What were they doing in that forgotten corner? Not touching? Not hiding? just standing there in a space no one pays attention to, unless they're trying not to be seen. By midday, the conversation had mutated into something messier, more defensive, more desperate to make sense of too little. Someone who claimed to have been at the venue that night wrote a long post saying the corner wasn't actually empty, that staff sometimes used it as a shortcut between the loading area and the back gate. But another fan immediately countered with their own footage from a previous event, showing the same corner completely unused for hours. Then someone else chimed in, claiming they did see two people standing there, but thought it was just security, which only confused things more, because no one could explain why security would stand that far from the actual exits. A shaky 10-second vertical video surfaced next, filmed from behind a barricade, showing a brief flicker of movement in the corner before the camera jerked away. Likely someone trying to pretend they hadn't pointed their phone there on purpose. The voiceover was just noise, but at the 3-second mark, a girl's silhouette leaned in slightly, almost like she was listening. Some insisted it was just wind. Others said the movement was too synchronized with Jimin's stance. A popular account argued the angle made the clip inconclusive, but then posted a side-by-side comparison anyway, which only inflamed everything. The argument shifted yet again, not toward confirmation, but toward interpretation. If he wanted privacy, why stand there at all? If it wasn't private, why that corner? Why did he look so still? Why did she stand so close if they weren't talking? Someone claimed they recognized the girl's shoes from a previous fan meeting, then retracted it an hour later, saying they might have misremembered. But by then, the screenshot was already circulating. Another fan said the lighting in the corner was bad enough that even if it was Jimin, he probably assumed no one would notice. But that explanation backfired, because fans who had been outside insisted that nothing in that courtyard was truly dark. Phones, security lights, even the glow from merch stalls made silhouettes obvious. A rumor broke out that the girl had been seen entering through a staff door earlier in the evening. Then someone else disproved the timestamp immediately, but not before the claim picked up traction. A small lock account whispered that a friend of a friend overheard a staff member mention the corner being occupied for a while, but with no details, leaving more questions than answers. Every attempt to calm the discourse only added fuel. Every screenshot posted, just to clarify, created new angles to dissect. And gradually, the focus drifted away from the girl entirely, landing instead on the shape of the moment itself. The quiet, the stillness, the way two figures stood just far enough from the crowd to be unseen, yet just close enough to be caught by accident. The situation didn't become clearer. It became impossible to ignore. By evening, the tone had shifted from confusion to something sharper, almost embarrassed, like fans were realizing they were in too deep but couldn't climb out anymore. A cropped HD photo from a professional camera circulated, supposedly taken seconds before the livestream clip, but the uploader deleted their post within minutes, claiming they got the time wrong, though the shadows and angles matched too perfectly for anyone to believe that. The photo didn't show faces, just posture. Jimin's recognizable stance, shoulders slightly forward, weight on one leg. The girl angled toward him as if mid-reply. The framing made it look unintentional, like the photographer had been aiming at the crowd and accidentally caught them at the edge. But the timing, that impossible timing, made people uncomfortable. Someone pointed out that the girl's hair reflected the courtyard light differently in each clip, suggesting she might have moved closer or further between seconds, though no one could agree on the direction. Then, one fan swore the two silhouettes had been seen walking from the loading area together, but another insisted they came from opposite directions and just ended up in the same spot. The contradictions piled up like debris, every correction spawning a new confusion. A thread claiming the girl had been holding something, maybe a phone, maybe nothing at all, went viral before a clearer zoom debunked it. But by then, dozens had already formed theories around that non-existent object. Someone else argued that Jimin's head position in the still suggested he was listening to someone, not facing the crowd, not checking his surroundings, but angled inward, toward her. That claim alone launched 3 hours of debate, diagramming his chin tilt as if it were a map. Meanwhile, a large fan account tried to shut everything down by posting, "It's probably just staff," but accidentally used a screenshot from the exact moment people were arguing about, amplifying it instead of burying it. Their mentions imploded. Fans began combing through footage from the entire night, trying to find where the girl came from, but every angle either missed her or caught her partially, increasing the unease rather than easing it. Even the people who were certain it wasn't him kept asking why the corner kept reappearing in every clip, every repost, every attempt to debunk the rumor. "If nothing happened," someone wrote, "why does it keep looking like something?" By now, the discussion wasn't about recognition anymore. It was about pattern. The stillness, the positioning, the timing. A moment that should have been forgettable, refusing to stay forgotten. A simple coincidence starting to feel too coordinated, too situated, too close to private for comfort. And worse, no one could prove anything, yet no one could fully dismiss it either. That tension, unresolved, unresolvable, kept stretching, thin but unbreakable. Fans weren't asking, "Who is she?" anymore. They were asking why they were seeing this at all. By nightfall, the rumor had slipped out of the fandom's hands entirely, spreading in directions no one intended, and no one could reel back. A YouTube recap channel posted a low-effort, "What happened?" video, using the same blurry stills everyone had been arguing over. And even though the creator admitted they had no idea what they were looking at, the comment section erupted into its own ecosystem of theories, each contradicting the next. Someone insisted the girl had been identified, wrongly, before the supposed evidence was disproven and deleted, leaving only confusion behind. Another user claimed a staff member privately messaged them saying, "Fans misunderstood everything," but no screenshots were provided, and the account went private within minutes. The absence of proof became its own form of proof. Then came the moment that turned the whole mess from a niche debate into something collective. A large compilation account reposted the clip without commentary, just a timestamp and a question mark. No analysis, no narrative. Just the raw footage, stripped of attempts to frame it. That's when the conversation fractured into something bigger than disagreement. A quiet, shared acknowledgement that everyone was seeing the same thing and still couldn't describe it cleanly. The repost triggered a cascade. TikTok stitches trying to debunk the shadows. Twitter threads mapping the courtyard layout. Reddit arguing whether the girl's shoes matched anyone who had been spotted earlier. But underneath the noise lay a deeper discomfort, one no one wanted to articulate directly. That the moment felt intentional only because it felt too mundane to be staged. A shadow, a pause, two figures out of place. Someone pointed out that Jimin didn't look surprised in any angle, as if he already knew that part of the courtyard was exposed. Someone else noticed the girl never stepped into the crowd's line of sight, as if she was waiting for him to move first. Another wondered why, if this was nothing, the angle kept resurfacing in algorithms even after accounts deleted it. Theories turned into counter-theories, which turned into arguments about the arguments. People apologized for earlier posts. Others doubled down. A few locked their accounts entirely. But the conversation didn't stop. It couldn't. By then, the rumor wasn't about what had happened. It was about the impossibility of unknowing the image once you'd seen it. A still frame, a silence, a corner where he shouldn't have been. Fans tried to dismiss it as coincidence, but the more they tried, the more the moment refused to dissolve. It stayed. Too faint to confirm, too precise to ignore, too public to explain, too private to accept. And when the night ended, no one agreed on anything except one thing. Whatever that was, it wasn't going away. Not because it was real, but because it felt like something that should never have been visible in the first place.